Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MJ Innocent podcast. I'm your host, Moonwalker Tanya. Okay, so in this episode, we are going to do a thought experiment because we haven't done one of those in a while. Because this is something that I've heard some people say before, and I have some different opinions on it. So the thought experiment is, do you think Michael should have stopped the Neverland sleepovers after 93? Well, I can see both pros and cons in either situation. Now, as for a pro, the 05 trial never would have happened because Gavin and his brother wouldn't have slept in Michael's room. However, the 05 trial cleared Michael of the 93 and 05 allegations. So if you think about it, if the 05 trial didn't happen and we just knew about the 93 allegations, a lot of people would still speculate regarding the settlement and stuff like that, even though there's plenty of evidence out there to prove that even Jordan's lawyer said it himself, that the settlement did not silence anyone. It did not prevent Jordan from testifying. It did not prevent the Chandlers from pursuing the criminal case. So, yeah. So, let's put the 05 trial to the side, okay, and pretend that the sleepover stopped after 93. Well, the problem is, Jordan Chandler was not the only kid who had a sleepover at Neverland. Now, I'm not going to name every single person, but the ones that I thought of was obviously Jordan, Wade, James, Macaulay Culkin, Brett Barnes. Let's see. I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think if there were any others. Well, and Aaron Carter. So those are the top 6 that come to mind right now. So obviously, if we took away Jordan Chandler, that would be 5 other guys. And yes, Wade and James came forward in 2013, but that's because nobody in Hollywood wants to work with them, and they're money hungry. And sometimes I even wonder if the lawsuit between the Jacksons and AEG, sometimes I wonder if that had anything to do with Wade and James making these false allegations, but that's a discussion for a different video. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Carter and Brett Barnes and Macaulay Culkin, they always defended Michael. And yeah, Aaron said some weird things later on in life, but, I don't know what it's like to be a drug addict, and that's why I just always try to encourage people, just stay away from that stuff. I don't know why people are even curious about drugs, to be honest. I've never touched an illegal drug, and I never will. I'm not interested in that stuff. And I feel the same way about cigarettes and cigars. I'm just not interested in that garbage. Anyway, if the sleepovers stopped after 93, like I said, the 05 trial wouldn't have happened, but I think people would have even more questions than they already do if the trial didn't happen. And, obviously, stopping the sleepovers after 93 wouldn't have prevented Wade and James from coming forward like they did in 2013. Do I think that if the trial didn't happen, that Michael would still be alive? I think there's a very good chance that he would have been, yes. But I know that he struggled with the whole propofol thing, and I've had many eye surgeries, obviously, with my vision disability. I've also had knee surgery, and I had to have my appendix removed when I was 10. So when it comes to surgery, I know what propofol is like, and I cannot believe that Michael actually took that stuff to sleep. I will admit, I do not approve of it, obviously, because it's not a sleep aid. I think Michael should have been on a sleep study so they could figure out what he needed in order to sleep. But unfortunately, I don't know if the Jackson family tried to suggest it and maybe Michael was against it. I really don't know. I mean, unfortunately, Michael did not like being told what to do. And he also did not like the word no, but I mean, I don't think anybody does, really. So, I guess, based on these thoughts, I guess I'm kind of split, 50-50, that it probably would have been better if the sleepovers stopped after 93, and in some situations, it would still bring a lot of questions. But, the media, they were not happy when Michael was acquitted, because he was proven innocent. And Tom Mesereau said they lost billions of dollars. Let me repeat that. Not millions. Billions with a B. And to the media, we do not feel sorry for you. So, let me know what you guys think about this. I don't know. I mean, do I think Gavin and his family should have been able to go to the ranch? No. And to be fair, I don't know if Michael knew about Janet Arvizo's history, but I mean, even if he did let them go to the ranch just to have a day of fun at the ranch, letting them stay there was the biggest mistake that he made at that time. And the trial ruined Michael's life. And it was after the trial when the sleepovers officially stopped. And yeah, sometimes when he talked about the sleepovers and interviews, some things that Michael said could be taken the wrong way. It's kind of like when they said, do you still think that it's okay to share your bed with children? And Michael said, of course. Of course, why not? If you're going to be a pedophile, if you're going to be Jack the Ripper, or if you're going to be the murderer, it's not a good idea. And that I'm not. Well, I think since he was accused twice, then that's when he should have been like, you know what, I cannot let this continue to happen, even though he always claimed that he was innocent, and I haven't seen anything to make me think otherwise. But then when Michael was questioned if he would leave his kids with someone who wasn't related and was accused of the same things that Michael was accused of, and Michael said yes, one of my friends, Johnny, he literally called Michael a dumbass. But what I will say is that Michael did not think sexually when it came to children, and he didn't treat women like sex objects either. And that's why the media and the tabloids, they would always try to spread these lies saying that Michael was gay or something, Well, I think this really needs to be said. I mean, guys, to be honest with you, as a woman, I actually prefer it if men did not repeat the same actions that Charlie Sheen did. Like, you just sleep with any girl who wants you, you know. Because in my opinion, any man who would just sleep with anybody or just sleep with anyone just because you can, that's actually a huge turnoff for me. I actually like it when men can actually control themselves. But that's just my opinion. So, I know there were multiple things that I said in this video, and I apologize, but you know how I am. I can usually put a lot of topics into one video. So, I mean, like I said, I think I'm still 50-50 on if the Sleepovers should have stopped after 93, because like I said, yeah, the 05 trial never would have happened, but at the same time, it didn't stop Wade and James from coming forward in 2013. So, I don't know. So, what do you guys think about this? All right, so let's have a great conversation in the comments. And in the next episode, I'm going to talk about a MJ question that was on the Cash Cab, which is one of my favorite game shows. It was an episode I saw while I was recovering from the allergies. So that's going to be a fun episode. All right, guys, I love you, and let's have a great conversation.